Welcome to Danielle Scraps. My name is Danielle and I'm glad that you're here. Make sure you hit subscribe, like, and that bell so you don't miss another tutorial. Welcome to another Inspiration Collaboration Design Team Challenge. Today we're taking a kit and turning it into something of our own. Join me as I create Meant to Be and change layout 3 to something like this. Okay, let's go through what you get when you get the scrapbooking kit from Stampin' Up. So you're going to get this full color printable that's going to come in there. It's not a PDF, I apologize. And it's going to tell a featured technique. It's going to talk about the materials that are needed. You're going to have the cutting guide and all of the instructions. The paper is gorgeous. I really love the collection that came together with this and the colors that were chosen. This is the only page that is like this, so it's not a double. So it has the bees on the front and then that honeycomb on the back. This is a cute little zigzag, like a flying pattern of a bee, and then your gingham. This is just a straight lines. And those blues and those purples on the back. Then we have another sub hero paper. This is almost a hero paper, but it doesn't have the yellow in it. Then we have this, both that last set and this set are not double-sided. And then you come with 6 cardstock pieces. So you'll have 3 double sets of colored and then a double set of basic white that you see here. You'll have 2 sheets of these pull apart flowers and hearts, and you'll see me use those here in a little bit. You'll have one 12 by 12 sheet of stickers that you'll see here. And then you're also going to get some photo placement pieces here. I really like these. They came in inches and centimeters. I was going to say millimeters. Okay, I am going to use the Close to My Heart Volume 6 book. Excuse me. And I am going to focus on that first layout. I plan to use the rest of the kit to make these other layouts that I'm pointing out here, which I found really cute and adorable. And I thought that they would fit this bee theme quite well. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough time to get all of them into this video. The first thing that I am going to do is I'm going to gut all of my cardstock. And because this kit comes with a limited amount of cardstock, I wanted to make sure that I could get the most real estate out of this. So by gutting this, this allows me to have photo mats without pulling in extra colored cardstock. I do pull in extra white cardstock, and that's because most of us have a lot of white or black cardstock in our stash, and sometimes we're limited on these colors here, especially when you have to buy the 12 by 12 and collections versus individual. So here's what they all look like. They're gutted, and then I will just take the white, the basic white, and trim off a 1/2 inch off 2 sides of the white here. And I do apologize, my camera does not like to focus when it's just white cardstock. For whatever reason, it would like to blur it out. It's a little too technical for me at this moment. I'll have to figure it out at a different time. So I do try to make sure that my hand is in there so that's not bothersome for you. Save those little 1/2 inch strips off to the side because we're going to use those for journaling. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing I want to do is I want to apply some adhesive to this. I like to use dry adhesive for this because if I mess up, I have some wiggle room to pull that up, whereas if a liquid adhesive, once it dries, it kind of tends to rip. For this layout, I want to make sure that one edge of my basic white cardstock is flush with the one end. And you can see here by gutting it, I have so much more use for that extra cardstock there. I'm just adjusting it because it wasn't quite flat and I don't really like it when it bubbles up. So I'm going to repeat the second page here with that same process, and I just put enough in the corners so they stay secure, a little strip in the middle of dry adhesive here, and then go ahead and put it down, and I just make sure that that one end is flush. Again, my camera is like, hey, listen, I don't like white. Got it. Noted, camera. So then I just kind of line them up, make sure that they look good, and make any adjustments that I want to. This is where I feel like if I were to use liquid adhesive, it would be dry by now and it would just shred that paper. So you have just a little bit of wiggle room here with that. Make sure that when you are surfing through the YouTube channels that you do take a moment to click the playlist so you can see everybody's channel. Okay, I'm going to take some coastal blue here. Actually, the correct name is Coastal Cabana, and I am going to give a little bit of water to it and just do a sprinkle effect or a splatter effect. So we're just tapping that brush all over the place and making sure that I have a little bit of texture in my background here. So this is something that's super hard to capture on camera, but trust me, it is just enough that it adds a little bit of texture to this where it takes away that starkness of that white, so it's not so bold on there. You can do this with a regular paintbrush and a little bit of water on the end of it. You just want to get it a little juicy, if you will, so that it splatters. You can tap it with a pencil. There's many different splattering techniques. Here I'm just using the lid and just pulling it off that lid and pulling it down in there. So I'm just going to take my dabber here and add a little bit more to the inside of the lid. I just found it was easier than trying to squeeze that little cube because it doesn't seem to work as well that way. And anyways, so like I was saying, make sure that you hit the playlist and you go check out the other 4 ladies who are also creating any one of the scrapbook kits or whatever kit calls to them and making it something of their own. Look at these little tiny bee trinkets. I love them. Those are cute, so I brought those out. I thought maybe we'll use those later on, and I do kind of put a few in here. And then I thought I was going to use this twine here, but again, I end up losing focus because I was just like, I was so irritated with my camera. Little bit of that Coastal Cabana on the edges here. It's just subtle enough that it gives a little bit of a wow in person. Super hard to capture on camera, and that's okay. Okay, so this particular layout holds 6 photos. 3 of them are 4x4 and 3 of them are 4x3. So when you're putting this down, if you were to use this layout, on the right side of the page, you only want to put adhesive about a 1/2 inch on those photo mats to start with because you're going to be sliding in some background pieces. So don't make the same mistake that I do. On the left side page, those first 2 pieces that go down, those can be adhered all the way through, but it's those last 4x4 and 4x3 that you need to leave that spacing on the left-hand side also, so that you can do a little slide in of that background. Now this original pattern calls for several pieces, I think 5 different colors or patterns to be cut to create this grid right here that you see. Some of them are 2 inches, some are 1.5 inches or something of that nature. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have to cut anything. I can just cut out these pieces that are already striped out and I'm going to go with it. And I did, I mean, they give you 2 12x12 pieces here. So when you're putting them in, they're not supposed to be lined up with the top and the bottom. I also did a little more paper saving, so that bee hero paper, if you will, was originally supposed to go through the top to the bottom, and it was supposed to be a solid piece. What I did was I just did a little math and figured out the pieces that peeked through were only the pieces that I cut, because that green was going to cover up the entire pattern there, and I didn't want to waste it since it was the only piece of hero paper that has the yellow in it too that was included in the pack. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure that I utilized it and it's, stretch it through the whole process here. Now, I probably didn't need to put on as much adhesive as I did on this. I was sort of worried about some of those cutouts just sort of to pop out here. And this is what I mean by pay attention. Like, don't make the same mistake as I do. Make sure you don't put all that adhesive all the way down. And then here I just was trying to make sure that I laid this in so that the shades matched up, and then I'm not too worried about the paper being bent there because I'll put my picture on top of it and the crease won't be shown at all. Look how cute this is. It is coming together so adorably. All right, so now I'm going to add in my pictures, and before I add them in, I just sort of want to line them up and figure out how I want them to go. I need to cut them down, and then I'll just go ahead and do that really quick off camera here because you know how to cut pictures. So I just cut them down so that I have a little border around each picture here and line them up, and I just want to pick out a title. I didn't want to do the green because I felt like there was already a lot of green with the photo mats and then that peeking out around the edge. So I went ahead with the blue and the Be Happy. But I didn't want to just put this down on top of everything. I wanted to add in a little bit of color, and I also wanted to make that like pop up a little bit. So I'm going to come in with a little blending brush here and some of that daffodil yellow, and I am still learning the names for Stampin' Up, so if I got them a little askewed, my apologies. And I just want to add just a little bit of color in there. And it's just enough so that the title kind of pops out a little bit. I'm going to take an anti-static tool here and just remove some of that stick that's on that title, and then I'm going to add some foam tape, some three-dimensional kind of foam tape, and just pop that up. And I really love doing this to simple stickers. A great way to just beef your stickers up a little bit, and then just go ahead and adhere that down after you take off the release paper wherever it is that you go. So do you see how that yellow just sort of let that title pop a little bit? We're going to add a little bee on top. And I thought about popping him up, but decided against it just because I just thought, well, the title's already popped up, so this suits it well. I thought about making a flower cluster right here, and I decided that that's just not really what I'm going for here. They're cute, but they're just not powerful enough to be a little cluster right there in my opinion. So I do end up taking those down even after I try to convince myself that they're going to be beautiful. And they are, just not like this. So I have another idea on how to use these, and so my next video I'm going to make another layout using those cutouts in a huge way that I think is going to be stunning, and I'm sure someone else has probably already done it. But it popped in my head and I really want to do it. So watch for that video to come out. So let's just add in some of our pictures here. This is a beautiful summer from a few years ago with my youngest, and we just did all kinds of fun things before she started her first year of school. Now I'm getting ready to add in my subtitle here. This is a cute little sticker that's on that sheet. It says just be you, and I'm going to go ahead and carry through that process. I'm adding just a little bit of that foam three-dimensional tape on the back of that, and here's where I come to my epiphany that those flowers are better suited as a shadow feature. So what I do is I match them up with the coordinating color that they are, and I pop them out of the extra sheet that I cut earlier. I'm going to add in a little bit of dimensional on the back of each one of these flowers. And this is just where it creates that, shadow, almost like a tone on tone, if you will. So it kind of mimics if you were stamping tone on tone. So same color onto the cardstock, if you will. I love how this turns out. It really just enhanced it. It popped it up so much. My pictures are pretty busy in themselves, so just to have this subtle pop in of added dimension was perfect. It was just what this sweet little layout needed. The only thing that I recommend is when you're doing these is to perhaps maybe lay them down on the right hand side before you put your pictures down so that you're not bending your pictures up. I do end up creasing one of my pictures, but that's okay. That's what happens when you're thinking about all the fun things to do with these layouts and creating your own. So this is, again, my rendition of layout number 3. I really wanted to change it. I wanted to pop it up. Look how cute they are. Okay, the next thing that I want to do is I want to come in with a little extra color over here before I add in my journaling. So I'm going to take the negative of those flowers. I'm going to take that daffodil. I'm only going to put ink on it once, and then you'll see that I just used the residual ink on the brush to create 3 more little patterns here. Those strips that we cut earlier on that basic white, I went ahead and cut them down to 4 inches long, so it's a 1/2 inch by 4 inch, and I'm going to do 4 of them. I'm going to add them right underneath my title, and this is going to be my journaling. I don't do my journaling on camera. 2 reasons. 1, I'm not trying to tell everybody where all this is happening. And 2, I don't like my handwriting. I absolutely hate my handwriting. If I take my time, it's beautiful, but I never take my time with anything. And you can see right here that, that it just didn't look good. So I wanted to take my time and type it and adhere on later. Now I'm going to come in with those teeny tiny bees, those little tiny bee trinkets. They are so stinking cute. So first I play around with putting them with my journaling, and I took that out of the video because it was just nonsense. And then I just went ahead and decided to add them to the title, and then one little bee down on the left hand side to sort of bring it all together. So for the left and the right. Adhere those down, and then I decide that these little flowers just were not done yet. They needed some flat adhesive backed pearls. I was really pleasantly surprised with how the pearl captures the color of the cardstock so well. So you put them on, and it was almost as if those pearls were made for those individual flowers. I really liked how the light captures the color of the cardstock underneath, and it just sort of makes it blend super well. So there is all of my cute little stuff. One more thing before I go, I want to add a little bee on that left hand bottom corner down there with my journaling that will help me create my triangle, my visual triangle, if you will. And then I want to add in some lines and some dimensions just to help sort of bring your eye in a little bit more. So I'm just going to grab a little journaling pen here and put that through a line all the way around. And then, of course, I need to adhere down all of my little tiny bee trinkets. I want to also create a little fly pattern for my 2 bees here. So just do a little loop-de-loop and some dashes there to make that. Now I'm going to draw a line from one side to the other. And one of the ways that I do this to sort of help it keep it a natural straight line, or as straight as possible, is I make sure I keep my wrist straight and I just pull my arm back as straight as possible. And that helps me sort of keep this straight-ish line around my papers when I'm doing this long line doodle. So here I'm just going to make a little mark so that I know that when I put these 2 pieces together, where my doodle line is going to line up. And then I just, again, do that same technique where I keep my wrist straight and just pull back on top. Now, I should have done it this way initially. It works out just fine. I mean, it overlaps a little bit, but my hand hits the flower and it sort of makes me jump a little bit. Let's add a fly pattern to that last bee that's right there. And I think that this is a perfect little layout for the night. So like I said, I'll do a little journaling right there and all is well. So I hope that you enjoyed watching me create this layout. You enjoyed the little tricks that I did and how I manipulated layout 3 and turned it into my own. Again, this was an Inspiration Collaboration Design Team Challenge. Be sure to check out all 5 of us on our YouTube channel. And until next time, I'll see you on the 25th.